When you look back at your transition from consulting into leadership, what lessons do you think are the most important that'll help you make that transition?
You have to pay attention on the macro view thinking. Also, you have to pay attention about the decisions you're making, how it's impacting the business, and then also the people you're managing. And I remember, not now, but when I had a large team, I often used to say technology has zero value. What we do with it has a value.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Ambition Circuit. Today, I'm joined by my guest, Mr. Shashi Tripathi. And Mr. Tripathi, I'm going to hand it over to you now to give a brief overview of yourself and your history.
Good morning, Vedans, and thank you so much for having me on this. Congratulations on running this successful podcast.
Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you.
I'm Shorty. My background is all has been in tech, primarily in healthcare, and I often say I have a unique opportunity to work in healthcare provider side, payer side, as well as med device and pharma. Had variety of role from CIO, CTO, CEO. Founded three companies. One
Mhm.
failed, but two had good exits. And in 2019, I started my own investment firm, Nurture Ventures, to invest in anything technology, B2B,
Nice.
post revenue. So that's where I invest.
Hmm.
To date, I have invested in 44 companies. We got an exit from two. Fund is doing really well. And just recently made an investment into a winery. Very excited about that. And
Nice. Nice.
just also recently took a role as a chair of a global Indian Institute of Technology conference to be held in Long Beach next year.
Yeah, I've heard about that. And you know what? Your education is nothing short of impressive too. Coming from IIT back in the day is definitely very impressive. So nice. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to have you here.
No, thank you for having me, Vedans. You're amazing. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. So, to jump into our questions, when you look back at your transition from, consulting into leadership, what lessons do you think are the most important that'll help you make that transition?
Oh, that's a great question. When I transitioned from consulting to leadership, you have to pay attention on the macro view thinking.
Hmm.
Um, Also, you have to pay attention about the decisions you're making, how it's impacting the business, and then also the people you're managing. Um, and I remember, not now, but when I had a large team, I often used to say technology has zero value. What we do with it has a value.
Yes, right.
Um, and so even in the current world where we have so many AI tools laying around, and we hear 85% of enterprise AI projects are failing. The reason is we are not able to relate the value of the technology to the final use case. It can be revenue growth, it can be cost reduction, it can be customer improvement, something. If we can relate to the end goal and then trace it back on any projects, implementation initiatives, that's where the value is. So that was my biggest learning. And then translating that to your team is very hard because you have, I mean, at one point I had 800 team part of my team, and it's very
Wow.
hard to communicate that, hey, whatever projects or initiatives we are doing, how this relates to the top two or three goals. And it cannot be more
Yeah.
than top two, three goals: revenue, cost reduction, patient improvement, customer improvement, something to that effect. And the greatness is once you do this, then it becomes so easy on your team members to work towards that goal, and they get so excited. I
Yeah.
remember I used to work for a company called Facey Medical, and there was a woman. She was an analyst, and she wrote a piece of code, and it contributed basically roughly 300,000 revenue into the company level.
Wow.
And she was so excited about this piece of code. But that's the magic. Once you can relate the work you're doing to the top two, three goals, the excitement build up into your team.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I think, it's really cool talking about having an some kind of goals, a system of goals that motivates your team, not only you, because I feel like, out of all the podcasts I've done, one thing I've heard is that as a leader, once you've motivated your team to see the same goal as you, everyone just works more efficiently.
So
So
true. Very true. Very, very true.
nice. So thank you for that. Jumping into our next question, you know, as you said, you're in healthcare IT specifically, and healthcare from the provider side and all of those things. And so, how did the quarantine affect you in that career path, and how did you get around it? Because there's really no way to predict the quarantine and things of that nature to where you can make a formula on how to prepare for it. It's something that you just kind of have to dive into head first and navigate as you go.
Yeah, I mean, COVID put all of us, for the initial, I remember 2, 3, 4 months, pretty much everyone in the world didn't know what to do, scared, anxious, all of that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I often also say this: human brains are so resilient, they figure things out.
Yeah.
So we had to figure things out very quickly. And at that time, I used to work for a global medical device company. We had office in Australia, Greece, here in US, all over the US, and we had employees everywhere. So very quickly, we first step is figuring it out that how these employees can work remotely. It's lots of extremely quick tools implementation. That happens, and then we had to deal with the customer because I used our customers were hospitals and clinics, and they had very strict guideline. You couldn't do even go inside the hospital to do demo. So we had to figure
Wow.
it out. How do you do demo online?
Hmm.
And again, figuring it out all the tools very quickly to adhere to all these challenges which we were incorporating at that time. So we did it all that. We also migrated our product to complete online, the product which our customers were using. So while in that moment it was challenging, but coming out, I'm glad it happened because it forced our brain and all of our leaders to invest into the
Yeah.
areas where we can work remotely. So there's always silver lining to everything. So yeah, that's how we adopted ourselves.
Nice, nice. That's cool. And I think there's a lot to be said about finding the silver lining in the moment of struggle. So that's awesome. And then moving on to our next question, you've worked at the intersection of healthcare and tech. What's the best way to combine those two so that, the IT team and the medical team, the healthcare team can work together effectively and efficiently for the better interest of the patient?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to my earlier comment I made was if you look in healthcare, what is the important thing is improving patient care.
Yeah.
And part of improvement is lots of things goes into actual quality of care, the excess of care, meaning if you are sick today, can you make an appointment today with the
Yeah.
doctor?
Yeah.
Cost of care, is it affordable? Because if you don't have money, you will deprioritize your health, which is not good.
Yeah.
Um, so, if we understand those three important aspects of healthcare, anything about technology, when we relate to those three things, it becomes easier on everyone's part, by the way,
Yeah.
including CFO, the CMO, Chief Medical Officer, and IT team, because IT team now know that why they are working on that particular project.
Yes.
So I used to be CIO at Springfield Clinic, and we did this beautifully. I mean, we collaborated. We had Chief Medical Information Officer, we had the full IT team, we had a IT committee, which comprised of all the doctors. So lots of collaboration between clinical, business, and technology to understand what is the end goal and what the output and impact we are making. And once we do that, then it becomes easier. It becomes typical project management. So that's how we did it with us.
Nice, nice, awesome. And you know what? Obviously, it's working if you guys were able to navigate through the COVID pandemic. So,
Mhm.
congrats on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so, moving on to my next question, you know, you've mentioned being an investor and starting your own fund, Nurture Venture, correct? Um, how how do you analyze a startup or a pitch even, and what makes something feel investable or investment worthy, I should say, for you?
Yeah, so I only invest into tech B2B post revenue. So that's the
Mhm.
criteria I look for. And if you don't have post revenue, I don't. And typically in the post revenue, I ask for 700-800K plus ARR
Yeah.
and 12 months of revenue. So what I do is I ask for give me the last 12 months of your revenue, your expenses, and I look for the MRR. How is the monthly revenue growing? At what
Mhm.
speed the monthly revenue is growing? That's very important to me. Then comes the product, what area you're operating into, even within technology. Um, does it have the value? And the good news is, I work come from technology background. I have been entrepreneur in the past, so it becomes somewhat easier. I'm not saying easy, but easier for me to
Mhm.
understand that.
Yeah.
And third aspect is the team itself. Now, many VCs look for previous exit on the founders. I'm not very particular about previous exit. Yes, if you have it, that's good, but how much passion you have about what you're building. And
Mhm.
and when I look for those monthly numbers, your passion has translated into or not translated into those monthly numbers. Um, so financials and numbers matters, and then of course the cap table and all you look for as part of your due
Yeah.
diligence. One of the things I also do as part of due diligence, I always speak to one of your existing customer without the founder in the room.
Oh,
And I always speak
that.
one of your existing investors, someone who already has invested in your company without the founder in the room. Um, Other thing I do is, since I have been in technology, part of my network, I have my friends and circle, and I do unsolicited feedback. So let's say I'm investing a technology in manufacturing. I know someone in manufacturing, and I'll say, hey, I'll call this individual and I'll say, I have this product. I'm not asking you to buy, but let's say you had an option to buy. Would you buy it? And
Mhm.
if you do, give me some sense, even a range, how much you're willing to pay. And this is unsolicited. So I do that a lot, and that has helped me a lot also, by the way, as part of my due diligence. And then I have full 10 points DD doc I write, DD document I write,
Yeah.
which also helps me to synthesize all dimensions of that particular startup. So I take a lot of time in making that final decisions with us.
Which makes sense because a lot of these investments are, you know, really, really high numbers. So you want to be careful where your money's going.
Correct.
Also, what I really liked about your answer, sorry, there's something in my throat. What I really liked about your answer is that you talked about, you know, interviewing other investors, interviewing customers. That's something I've never heard before. So that's a really cool way to go about it. How do you set that up, you know, wanting to interview another investor, another customer without the founder being in the room? How do you go about approaching that?
I asked the founder himself or herself, and I tell founder that, hey, part of my due diligence, this is one of my requirement, and I
Mhm.
do this towards the end, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't do early on. When I'm approaching to 70-80% decision that I'm leaning more towards investing, then only I ask for. And I request that, hey, I would prefer if you are not part of the room. In fact, why don't you just introduce? I will coordinate with the customer directly or investor directly to meet. And these meetings have been very, very valuable. By the way. I've learned sometime, even though, let's say, I decided to invest, I've learned things which founder did not know, and I've gone
Yeah.
back to telling founder, hey, what about this? um, I remember I was going to invest into a security tech company, and I spoke to the customer, and customer himself said that the amount of value this product provide, company is not doing enough on the marketing. So I went back telling founder, hey, you need to do more about marketing and the value prop
Yeah.
about the customer. So sometimes it's good for the founders themselves. And of course, it's important to me to know how much value prop this particular product is adding towards the customer.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, founders have not hesitated. One or two cases they have asked sign the NDA, which I don't mind sign NDA.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is nice, which is nice. So you also mentioned part of your investment strategy is that you invest in post-revenue level startups. So is there any reason why you like to invest into an older startup versus a startup in its earlier stages and its pre-revenue stages?
Yeah, number tells a lot. I'm a number guy, and I'll be honest, I'm not an emotional guy. And
Yeah.
it's very hard for me to understand the emotions. I'm a human being. I laugh and play and dance and sing, all that I do. But when it comes to investment, I'm very much data driven. So if I don't have the financials, what do I make my decision on?
Yeah.
It becomes harder for me. And there are investors who does that, by the way. They do pre-revenue, and yes, they take risk, and but they also get bigger chunk of the ownership in the company.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know that. I cannot make my decision purely based on emotion and product which has not been used.
Mm, nice. So you like to fund something that's already been backed instead of something that's almost still quite an idea.
Correct. Exactly.
Nice. And one thing I wanted to congratulate you on was being the chairman of the 2026 Global Conference for IIT. You mentioned that's going to be held in Long Beach. Congrats for that. It's
Thank you so much. No, we are very, very excited, by the way. I mean, you know the value of Indian Institute of Technology. It has
oh yeah.
created over the world, and we are bringing roughly 2,500 to 3,000 people
Uh-huh.
next year from April 22nd to 25th. We have four tracks: artificial intelligence, health, investment, and global connect, geopolitical issues.
Hmm.
We are bringing some really high-powered speakers. We are paying a lot of attention to quality of the content. So anyone who is listening, you can go to iit2026.org to look for all kinds of detail about the conference. And of course, please register as soon as you can.
And of course, guys, the link for that website will definitely be in our bio below. I'll make sure to keep it there to bring some attention to the site. But I'm really happy for you guys, and it's cool that there's such a huge alumnus network of IIT stretched across the US and even globally that you guys are able to bring 3,000 plus people all for a conference. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we have approximately 50,000 IIT
Wow.
alumni here in US. And I'm sure Vedans, you may know our current Google CEO is IITN.
Is IIT, yes, yes.
IBM CEO is IITN. G-Scaler, Palo Alto Network, these are all IITN. Many of the direct reports of Satya Nadella are IITN. Same thing in NVIDIA. Um, the Perplexity current CEO is IITN. In the tech world, IITians are everywhere.
Mhm.
And I'm thrilled and excited to assemble the IIT. And one thing I want to also say that this conference is managed and hosted by IITians, but anyone can attend. Anyone can speak in this conference. So if you're a business professional, you don't need to be IITian to attend and speak in this conference.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm glad for you guys, and definitely I'm looking forward to that to see if I am able to attend, and if not, to definitely see some of the highlights and enjoy the LinkedIn post that will follow for sure.
Definitely, Vedans. 100%. You should definitely attend. You are
Yes,
a
yes. I'll
student, by the way, we are putting together a very lucrative pricing for a student. Almost 50% discount on the pricing just for a student.
Wow, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check my availability with school and see if I'm able to make it.
Perfect.
So, that leads to my final question. For someone young like me and Gen Z starting their career, if they wanted to follow your path, what advice would you give them, or what mistakes would you say they should make to learn or should try to avoid that will give them the most success?
I mean, it's a great question, Vedans, and a lot of, I'm sure you hear from many um, podcasts and senior leaders. Um, One of the things which worked in my favor was the failure I had. And I mean it when I say this. My first company failed, and I worked the hardest into that. And there's two paths you can take when you do that. After so much of investment of your energy, you fail. Am I right?
Yeah,
One path is, oh my God, the word is bad. I don't want to do it. It's too much work. Second path you can take is, oh my God, I learned so much. Um, Literally, I was doing sales, I was doing legal, I was doing HR, I was doing software,
yeah.
everything
Every
one person is
everything.
doing. It was a
Yeah.
crash course MBA for me. And believe me, Vedant, even to date, the learnings I had on my first failure, even to date, I apply. So coming back to the question you asked, if you ask me one thing, fail, have failure early on. If you have
Mhm.
ideas or thoughts or comment or product, do not worry about failure. Even if you fail, that's good thing. Um,
Yeah.
Failure makes you stronger, contrary to other. And don't hide. Be open about it, because the more you're open, the more you're willing to learn from that failure. Fail early. That's one advice I would say. I know we all are trying to be a successful and have a high echelon, but someone like at your age and your college level with us, if you have an
Mhm.
idea, go for it. Of course, you do your hard work. Of course, you consult. Of course, you talk to others. Of course, you do all the right things, but do not. The one thing, don't worry about, oh my God, what will happen if I fail? It's good. If you're successful, amazing. You'll build the second amazing company. If you fail, even then it's amazing because you learn a
It's amazing.
lot.
You learn a
Uh,
lot.
and and
Awesome.
that learning with dance is not just about the company you learn. It makes you as a human being a stronger person.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. That was very insightful. And I think one of the hidden themes that gets revealed in that is that, you mentioned fail early on, have your failure early on. What that kind of entails is take the risk early on, learn the lesson early on, so that in your future, in your older age, you are successful.
Correct. Very important. Very important. That builds the strength.
Nice, nice. That concludes another episode of the Ambition Circuit, unless you have any questions for me, of course.
No, Vedant, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. It's a pleasure to see you on this podcast. Good luck with
Thank
your
you.
college journey and good luck with your podcast. You're doing amazing job, Vedant.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time, your wisdom. It was definitely a great conversation, one that I truly enjoyed. And I wish you all the best luck for your IIT Global Conference that's coming up.
Thank you so much, Vedant.
Awesome. Thank you.